The Thalmor suck. Like, there's no way around it. They simply suck. I hate them, but I love them at the same time. I love the Thalmor as a faction in the Elder Scrolls universe, not as individuals. That's important to note for later in the video, but as a faction on a meta level. Let's be honest for a second, who actually does like the Thalmor from a role-playing perspective? And aside from the 0.1% of people who maybe just raised their hand and went, I do, and mean it, unironically, Bethesda did a great job at making a faction that just almost everybody, I gotta specify almost to be accurate, hate. But Bethesda, bravo! Bravo! Because I am tipping my metaphorical hat to you. It's not the easiest thing to do to make an organization that everybody hates as much as the Thalmor. Yet on a meta level, I find it absolutely incredible from a storytelling perspective to be witnessing this shift in power, and the massive changes that this shift brings with it. The Empire that has been around seemingly forever is now only a shell of its former self. And if the Stormcloaks are to be believed, they are puppets of the Thalmor at best. I am a sucker for this kind of thing, so much so that it has inspired an entire other video where I go in depth about how Bethesda could shake the lore up even further for Elder Scrolls 6. Now, do not get me wrong, read through just a small chunk of the Thalmor on Elder Scrolls Wiki, and you'll quickly find that they are simple, plain, they're elven supremacists. They have the goal of dominating all non-elven races. They're a horrible organization. Here's a quote that I really like. With the Empire submerged in this mayhem, the Thalmor were quick to act. They overthrew the rightful kings and queens of the Altmer in a violent uprising. Then, the first of many pogroms descended on Somerset Isle. They slaughtered any who were not of the blood of the Altmer, as well as any remaining dissidents. The Thalmor never wasted an opportunity." End quote. The Thalmor in Elder Scrolls are horrible, but I think there could be more to the story, and I think that there should be. In this video, I want to discuss with all of you exactly how the Thalmor can be developed into a more interesting, a more engaging, and a more three-dimensional group than they currently are. Let's get started. As the Thalmor grow in strength and in power, more people will begin to passively accept life under their rule. They may not think it's the best that it could be, but they have work, they have food, and most importantly, they have security. Look at Alvor. He's a Nord living in the midst of a Nord revolution who's been living under the rule of the Empire his entire life. And Alvor is one of my favorite characters in the game because he has this rational line of thinking. I love it. But if you leave the Thalmor, and by extension the Aldmeri Dominion, in control for enough time, you'll likely see something similar start to happen. People who understand life or politics aren't the best that they could be. They may even recognize that the Dominion's past life is filled with the blood of thousands, but yet they accept it. In Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Cal's friend and his co-worker Prauf, he represents this perfectly.
This went down in a blaze of glory. Those Jedi. Real tragedy. I've always said they couldn't all be traitors.
Yeah, maybe.
Guess it's just our lucky day. Empire's gonna get a lot of good material out of it.
Looking at the context of Elder Scrolls, the people of Tamriel would be comfortable working and living under the condition of the Dominion's rule because they know that they're safe. If we were to continue in Elder Scrolls 6 to fight off against the Aldmeri Dominion, it would be interesting to witness exactly how perspectives have changed on the Thalmor, as long as enough time has passed. Even if the Thalmor are not directly involved in the Elder Scrolls 6, it could be as easy as having a single shopkeeper who moved from a Thalmor-controlled territory, such as Valenwood would, let's say, to wherever Elder Scrolls 6 is taking place. If you were to engage in conversation with them about the Thalmor, they could explain how it was great, business was booming, customers were happy, until a rebel insurrection popped up and began disrupting their business, to the point where they couldn't sell anything, so they moved here, wherever here is. Having such a simple dialogue exchange would go miles in working towards making the Thalmor from the big bad evil guy to something more dynamic, more believable, and more interesting. It would make players think twice about how bad really are they? But let's just say that they're meant to be this one-dimensional. They're hell-bent on beating every other person that thinks, looks differently into submission. They can still tackle this in a more unique way. One such is used in writing, and it features two types of antagonists, a central and a sub-antagonist. You don't always need both depending on the type of story you're trying to tell, as well as the type of writer that you are, but using this format allows for both characters and organizations, such as the Thalmor, to become more three-dimensional, but it still maintains that status of being the big bad evil guy. In our Elder Scrolls situation, the central antagonist would be the leader of the Thalmor, and I'm not talking about Elenwen, who's in charge of just the embassy in Skyrim, but the true top-of-the-dogpile ruler of the Thalmor, who to this day remains a mystery. This individual is one that we, as the protagonist, don't really deal with that often. They are the puppet master, they're working behind the scenes, but most importantly, they're the ones that cannot be changed, manipulated, or dissuaded from their goal. This individual is much too evil, they are completely beyond saving, and thus the organization of the Thalmor will never become redeemable as well, unless they're taken out of the picture entirely. Meanwhile, the sub-antagonists are the ones that are really driving the plot forward by acting out on the orders of the central antagonist, and thus they interact with, directly, the player characters. To give you an example, in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, this could have been Elenwen if she played a larger role in the game. The sub-antagonists, because they're constantly being met with opposition directly, are the ones that go through moral dilemmas and personal conflicts, and as a result, they are susceptible to changing their stance or their alignment. Mass Effect 1 actually demonstrated this idea of central and sub-antagonists perfectly by using the Reapers as the main antagonist and Saren as the sub-antagonist. This technique allows for the organization as a whole to remain evil and incorrigible, but it opens the door for players to have a deeper understanding. Why might someone fall prey to their way of thinking? Why do people accept their brutal methodology? These sorts of things, while also making more interesting characters that we interact with along the way. Within the Elder Scrolls, another example, Miraak might have been in this position, but it's not really confirmed. He technically was bound as a servant to Hermaeus Mora, but he claims that he's independent and more powerful. Phooey, the Daedra are always in control. Another such way Bethesda can build out this evil organization is by adding in a defector, and by that I mean ones that we can sympathize with. I encourage you, let me know of one single Thalmor agent we come across in Skyrim that actually makes you stop and think for a moment. Go ahead, I'll wait. Let's look at Finn in the Star Wars sequel movies, a stormtrooper trained to kill and follow orders without question that defects and in turn helps the resistance movement. Although extremely underutilized in the films in my honest opinion, he was an interesting character because he was able to provide a unique perspective and a unique insight into exactly what a stormtrooper witnessing horrible events might feel, might think. But it made it all more impactful because he was one Finn. It's not like the writers tried to make 12 Finn-like characters that all played the same role in saying, the Empire is bad. I don't know why they have that accent all of a sudden, but you get the point. In Skyrim, Parthenax demonstrates this to some extent as well. Here, you're surrounded by dragons that may come and spontaneously attack you without warning, except for the epic combat music that comes into play when you do. Oh man, I love that music. But Parthenax stands out from the crowd in that he is one. He is one dragon that's refraining from attacking anyone, really. And this, along with my previous points, are exactly what I mean by should the Thalmor be more sympathetic. Characters within the Thalmor, not necessarily the organization or its goals in and of themselves. So, there you have it. These are multiple ways that Bethesda could leverage the Thalmor into being a more interesting organization. Don't get me wrong, when starting a new character in Skyrim, I will, without question, bide my time, grow stronger, then run out and kill every single Thalmor that I come across, because they suck. But wouldn't it be a little bit more interesting if there were more layers to this? Like an ogre, or an onion. Whatever. I will let you all decide that for yourselves. And let's discuss it in the comment section below. Do you think that the Thalmor should continue to be the big bad evil guy, or do you think they should grow into something a little bit more three-dimensional? With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to become more active in the community, check out the Discord. It's linked at the top of the description. You don't even have to scroll that far. I'm active all the time over there. Leave a like if you enjoyed, a dislike if you didn't, and I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.